Imagine your entire world is shattered in a single minute. In the small, forgotten town of Maybrook, Pennsylvania, that's exactly what happened. At 2:17 in the morning, 17 children from the same classroom stood up, walked out of their front doors, and vanished into the darkness. The only one left behind, a quiet little boy named Alex. The only person the town blames, their brand new teacher, Justine. Was it a mass hysteria, a dark prank, or was it a summons pulled by strings no one could see? Get ready, because here on Nchitv we're about to piece together the chilling puzzle of the Maybrook disappearances in the newly released horror film.
Sorry. Fuck.
Opening narration, The Whisper of Maybrook. The film opens not with a bang but with a chillingly calm whisper. The screen is black and the voice of a child, genderless and serene, begins to speak. "This is a true story," it says, the words hanging in the silence. "It happened in my town, Maybrook, Pennsylvania, 2 years ago. You won't read about it in the news. You won't find it on the internet. The people in charge, the police, the mayor, they were too embarrassed. They couldn't solve it, so they buried it." The voice explains that in a town like Maybrook, people die in strange ways all the time, stories that become local legends whispered over backyard fences but never make the papers. This, however, was different. This was bigger. "It started at our school," the child continues, Maybrook Elementary. "It started on a Wednesday with our new teacher." Wednesday morning, the empty classroom. The camera fades in on Justine Gandy, the picture of a dedicated, bright-eyed elementary school teacher. She's new to town, eager to make a good impression. She hums a little tune, her tote bag filled with freshly graded papers and a thermos of coffee, as she walks the cheerfully decorated halls of Maybrook Elementary. She turns the corner to her classroom, a vibrant space covered in children's art and learning charts. But the room is silent. The colorful chairs are all empty. Her smile falters. Every other classroom she passed was buzzing with the morning energy of children. Hers is a ghost town. Then she sees him. In the back corner, a small boy sits alone, his hands folded neatly on his desk. This is Alex, one of her 18 students. "Alex, where is everyone?" Justine asks, her voice a mixture of confusion and concern. Alex just looks at her, his eyes wide and unblinking. He doesn't have an answer. The child narrator's voice returns, laying out the terrifying fact with cold precision. "The night at exactly 2:17 a.m., 17 children got out of their beds. They walked out of their front doors into the darkness and they never came back." The voiceover stops, leaving the audience and Justine in a state of dreadful quiet. Two questions immediately ignite in the viewer's mind. Why not Alex? And why only the kids from the new teacher's class? The investigation, a town on edge. The town of Maybrook explodes into a panic. Police cars crawl through every street and frantic parents form search parties, their flashlights cutting through the dense Pennsylvania woods. The investigation, led by a weary detective, yields only one concrete, bone-chilling clue. Security camera footage from several homes confirms the narrator's claim. At 2:17 a.m., as if summoned by an invisible bell, the children walked out. They didn't appear scared or forced. They moved with a somnambulistic purpose, their small figures swallowed by the night. The police focus their attention on the two anomalies, Alex and Justine. Alex is questioned repeatedly. Was it a game, a secret club, a TV show they were all copying? The boy is a broken record of "I don't know." He seems genuinely bewildered, a lone survivor of a shipwreck he can't explain. Justine, too, is brought in for questioning. The police are professional, but the suspicion is thick in the air. As the new person in town, she is an easy target for a community desperate for answers. She has no alibi for 2:17 a.m. besides being asleep in her apartment, and she can offer no insight into her students' collective psyche. The school is temporarily closed. When it reopens, the tension is unbearable. A town hall meeting is held in the school gymnasium and the air crackles with grief and rage.
She's here. I want to know exactly what she was doing in there.
When Justine stands up to offer her condolences, the room turns on her. Whispers of "which" and "what did you do to them?" escalate into shouts. The other teachers have to form a protective circle around her, escorting her through the venomous crowd to her car. Principal Marcus Miller, a man trying desperately to hold his community together, advises her to go straight home. But home is the last place she wants to be. Justine, once the polished professional, drives to a liquor store. The bright, put-together teacher is gone, replaced by a woman seeking refuge at the bottom of a bottle. She buys 2 bottles of cheap wine and retreats to her lonely apartment. The spiral begins. That night her phone rings. It's an unknown number. A gravelly voice threatens her, telling her to watch her back. Moments later, a loud, aggressive knock rattles her front door. She peers through the peephole but sees nothing. The knocking comes again, harder this time, a percussive assault that makes her freeze. Furious and half-drunk, she flings the door open to an empty hallway. But as she turns to go back inside, she sees her car in the parking lot. Scrawled across the driver's side door in red spray paint is a single word: witch. The downward spiral and an unwelcome ghost. Nearly a month passes, no leads, no children. The town's hope curdles into a permanent state of mourning and suspicion. Principal Miller, bowing to pressure from the school board and enraged parents, places Justine on administrative leave. His voice is gentle, but his words sting. "It's for your own good, Justine. People need someone to blame." Or maybe he said something close to that. The model teacher is now a town pariah. Her apartment becomes her cage, the wine glass her only companion. It's then that Paul Morgan re-enters her life. Her ex-boyfriend, a local cop, a ghost from a past she thought she'd left behind. He starts calling, his voice a familiar comfort in the crushing silence. Justine knows it's a terrible idea. She knows he's the kind of man who offers a temporary fix for a permanent problem. But loneliness is a powerful motivator. They fall back into a messy, clandestine affair. Their meetups are desperate, fueled by alcohol and tasting of mutual guilt. What Justine doesn't know, what Paul conveniently fails to mention, is that he is married. The truth is a time bomb ticking away, waiting to detonate her already shattered life. Amid her own despair, a flicker of her old self, the caring teacher, remains. She worries about Alex, the boy who was left behind. One afternoon, she follows him to their house, a modest home on a quiet street. She rings the doorbell. No answer. She rings again, longer this time. Silence. She walks around the side of the house and feels a chill that has nothing to do with the autumn air. Every single window is covered, taped over with thick layers of newspaper. Not a single sliver of daylight can penetrate the home. Her heart hammers against her ribs. She finds a small tear in the paper on a side window and presses her eye to it. The interior is pitch black, but as her eyes adjust, she makes out two figures sitting perfectly still in the living room. Alex's parents. They sit on the sofa, unmoving in the living room like eerie wax statues staring into the darkness. It's profoundly, deeply wrong. Terrified, she scrambles back to her car and calls Marcus Miller, her voice trembling. "You need to do a wellness check on Alex's family. Something is wrong." Marcus, however, is tired of the drama surrounding Justine. He shuts her down, telling her to stay away from the families and let the police handle it. Her day gets worse. As if summoned by the chaos, Paul's wife confronts her at her usual liquor store. The confrontation is ugly and public, a tirade of accusations about Justine seducing her husband. The bomb has gone off. The knife twists. That night, after finishing another bottle of alcohol, Justine passes out and falls into a nightmare. In her dream, she's back in her classroom. All 18 children are there, slumped over their desks as if asleep. Then one head lifts. It's Alex. He gives her a strange, knowing look, a look far too old for his years. Suddenly, the classroom dissolves and she's in her own bedroom. She looks up. Clinging to the ceiling like a spider is an elderly woman, her face caked in grotesque, smeared clown makeup, her eyes black pits of malice. Justine screams herself awake, drenched in a cold sweat. The dream feels too real to ignore. The next day, driven by a fear she can't articulate, she returns to Alex's house. The windows are still covered. The silence is still absolute. She knocks, she calls out, nothing. Resolved, she decides to wait. She parks her car across the street, watching the house as the sun sets and darkness falls. Hours crawl by. Eventually, she drifts into an uneasy sleep in her driver's seat. Later in the dead of night, the front door of Alex's house creaks open. A figure emerges. It's a woman, likely Alex's mother, but she moves with a horrifyingly unnatural gait, her body jerking like a puppet on strings. One of her hands is raised, and in it something glints under the moonlight. The woman glides towards Justine's car. With silent precision, she opens the unlocked passenger door, leans over the sleeping Justine, and snips a lock of her hair with a pair of scissors. She retreats back into the house as silently as she came, leaving Justine completely unaware of the violation. A father's hunt and a shared nightmare. The film shifts perspective. We meet Archer Graff, the father of one of the missing children, Matthew. While other parents have sunken into despair, Archer's grief has sharpened into a relentless, obsessive need for answers. He's a man of action, a construction worker with calloused hands, and he's disgusted by the police's lack of progress. He has launched his own investigation, turning his garage into a command center of maps, timelines, and camera footages. It's here the film reveals a twist. Archer has been watching Justine. We see he has been following Justine from the liquor store. He was the one who banged on her door. He was the one who spray-painted her car. In his grief-stricken mind, she was the prime suspect, the serpent in their small-town Eden. One night, Archer has a terrifyingly vivid dream. In it, he wakes up but finds his physical body is still lying in bed asleep. He is an astral projection, a silent observer. This scene has almost the same vibe as another movie I recapped earlier. If you're curious, just tap the card on the screen and see how it all played out there. The clock on his nightstand reads 2:17 a.m. A door in his dream house, one that doesn't exist in reality, opens on its own. He sees his son Matthew walk out of his room and through this impossible door. Archer follows him. He finds himself outside Alex's house where a glowing sigil, a weapon-like symbol with the number 217 incorporated into it. He follows Matthew inside and finds him sleeping in a bed. But when Archer tries to wake him, Matthew's face contorts, melting and reforming into that of the elderly, clown-faced woman from Justine's nightmare. Archer wakes up with a gasp, his heart pounding. The dream galvanizes him. He stops seeing Justine as the cause and starts seeing her as another piece of the puzzle. He pulls up the security footage he's acquired of Matthew and another missing child from the night they vanished. He maps their routes. He discovers that their paths, and likely the paths of all the children, converge near Alex's house. The dream and the data are pointing to the same place. The vagrant, the cop, and the horrible discovery. The narrative threads begin to weave together. We're back with Paul Morgan, the compromised cop. While on patrol, he arrests a vagrant drug addict named James for attempting to break into a closed hardware store. It's clumsy, half-hearted burglary, like James himself isn't convinced it's worth the effort. Following protocol, he asks James if he has any sharp objects on him. James mumbles a no. As Paul frisks him, he feels a sharp prick in his thumb. He pulls his hand back and sees a used syringe sticking out of James's pocket. Panic sets in. The fear of contracting HIV or hepatitis eclipses all police procedure. In a surge of adrenaline and rage, Paul slams James against the car, knocking him unconscious. He frantically uses his hand sanitizer, his mind racing. Then he sees it, the blinking red light of his own cruiser's dashcam. The entire assault has been recorded. His career is over. Thinking fast, he uncuffs the groggy James and makes a deal. You never saw me, I never saw you. Stay away from me and stay away from this station. James, bruised and desperate, drifts away. He needs a fix, he needs food, he needs money. His wandering leads him to a quiet street where he spots Alex's house. Taped-up windows, no lights, no sounds. It looks like the perfect target, either abandoned or occupied by people who don't want to be seen. Easy pickings. He jimmies a back window and slips inside. The house is cold and smells of dust and decay. He creeps through the dark rooms, pocketing a few pieces of silverware from the kitchen. He finds the door to the basement, figuring that's where people might store valuable things they've forgotten about. He opens it and James freezes. His breath catches in his throat. What he sees is the stuff of absolute horror. The basement is filled with children. The 17 missing kids. They are standing, swaying slightly, their faces pale and waxy. Their eyes open but completely vacant. They are alive but not there. He runs back and behind him as if guarding them are Alex's parents. Their posture is rigid, their skin has a synthetic sheen, and their movements are tiny and jerky like animatronics in a forgotten fun house. A primal fear grips James. He tries to find his way out, dropping half the silverware he stole, and flees. At a pawn shop, while trying to sell the few forks and spoons he managed to keep, he sees a flyer on the wall, a $50,000 reward for any information leading to the missing children. $50,000, that's a life-changing amount of money. Still, James blurts out pieces of what he saw: the house, the children, the basement. Paul stiffens, his mind racing. If James is telling the truth, it's bigger than anything he can handle. Overcoming his fear, he goes to the police station. Paul sees him. Fearing James is there to report him for the assault, he chases him, and this time turning off all the cameras. James flees into the woods, his breath ragged, the dark pressing close. There he sees the clown-faced woman standing at the edge of the woods, watching him. He hides in his tent and Paul finds him later, cuffing him with brutal efficiency. I know where they are, I know where the kids are, James pleads, his voice cracking with desperation. Paul's expression is unreadable. He's caught between his duty as a cop and his instinct for self-preservation. Calculation wins. He hauls James back to his cruiser. Show me, Paul says. He drives to Alex's house, James in the passenger seat. Wait here, Paul orders, leaving James handcuffed in the car. Okay, things are getting seriously intense. A basement full of possessed kids, a crooked cop in a panic, and a witch pulling all the strings. It's about to get even crazier. If you're loving this breakdown of all the terrifying details and hidden lore in movie, do me a quick favor and smash that like button. It really helps the channel out. And if you want to make sure you never miss another recap of the best and craziest new horror films, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We do this every single week. Alright, thank you for the support. Now let's see what happens when Paul the cop goes into that house. Paul walks up to the front door and goes inside. 1 hour passes, then 2. The car grows cold. James shivers, whispering prayers. Finally, the front door opens. Paul emerges, but he's not the same man who went in. His movements are stiff and slow, his eyes glassy and unfocused. He walks to the cruiser, yanks the door open, and wordlessly drags the terrified James out of the car and into the house. The cruiser door swings shut. The screen cuts to black. The witch and her puppets. Back at the school, Principal Marcus Miller has a visitor. An elderly woman introduces herself as Gladys, Alex's aunt. Her smile is too wide, her lipstick is smeared, and her clothes look like they're from a 1950s catalog. She explains that Alex's parents have taken ill and she's moved in to care for them. Her demeanor is superficially sweet but radiates an underlying menace. Marcus, concerned by Justine's earlier call, insists on performing a wellness check himself. Gladys tilts her head, her eyes glinting. "Of course, dear," she purrs. "Come by any time." But Gladys visits him first. That evening she appears at Marcus's home. She charms her way inside, she admires the framed photos, the neat kitchen. Then she produces a ribbon stolen from his desk. In her hand it twists like a living snake. She plucks a decorative ribbon from a vase, and we see she already has 2 other items with her. The lock of hair she cut from Justine and another she cuts from Terry. She ties them together, whispering words that sound like a lullaby rotting from the inside. Marcus begins to change. He becomes agitated and unresponsive. Terry tries to calm him down, but he hits him, his eyes filled with a terrifying emptiness. Gladys's enchantment has taken hold. He is now her puppet. His mission, kill Terry and then go after Justine. At a gas station, Justine is filling up her car when Archer pulls up beside her. They get into an argument. They're interrupted by the screech of tires. It's Marcus Miller running with the same unnatural, purpose-driven gait as the children from the security footage. He attacks Justine, his face a mask of mindless fury. Archer intervenes, tackling Marcus as Justine scrambles away. Marcus stumbles backward into the path of an oncoming truck. The headlights flare, followed by the sickening crunch of impact. Shaken and horrified, Archer and Justine now know they are facing something far beyond a normal kidnapping. They are united by a terrifying truth: all roads lead back to Alex's house. The ritual and the truth. The film finally reveals the full story through a series of flashbacks.
To get this house cleaned up before your Aunt Gladys gets here.
Gladys is a witch, ancient and dying. Her body is failing her and she survives by draining the life force of others to rejuvenate herself. She enchanted Alex's parents, turning them into her mindless servants, and used them to control Alex.
Now, when I tell you that you are not to speak about me or your parents to anyone, you understand what can happen if you break your promise.
She promised the boy she would leave his parents alone if he did exactly as she said. Her power was fading and she needed a massive infusion of energy to survive. She ordered Alex to bring her a personal item from each of his classmates. We see a flashback to the first day of school. Alex, under duress, collects the handwritten name cards that each child had taped to their locker. In the present, we see Gladys in the basement performing her grand ritual. She chants in a guttural language, her voice warping the very air in the room. She isn't just feeding on the children's energy, she is using their souls as batteries, stitching their life force into her own decaying form to hold off death itself. The 17 children are her unwilling fountain of youth. The final confrontation. Justine and Archer arrive at the house and break in. They are immediately attacked by the enchanted Paul and James, their movements jerky and inhuman. It's a brutal, clumsy fight against people who are no longer there. Justine manages to get Paul's service weapon, and in a moment of desperate self-preservation, she shoots and kills them both. Archer heads to the basement, shouting for his son Matthew. As he enters, Gladys turns her attention to him. Her eyes glow and Archer freezes, the enchantment taking hold. She sends him back upstairs to attack Justine. Meanwhile, Alex, who has been hiding in his room, knows this is his only chance. He has been watching the witch. He has seen her rituals. He finds a strand of hair from Gladys's cheap, synthetic wig that had fallen on the floor. In his room, he desperately tries to replicate her spell, using her own magic against her. Downstairs, Justine is fighting for her life against the bewitched Archer. Just as he is about to overpower her, something changes. The vacant-eyed children in the basement begin to stir. Alex's counterspell is working. They turn their heads in unison towards Gladys. Their connection to her has been reversed. They are no longer her batteries, they are a siphon. They emerge from the basement, a silent, pale horde, and advance on Gladys. For the first time, the witch feels terror. She flees the house, but the children pour out after her, their movements now swift and predatory. They chase her through the neighborhood, a supernatural mob of her own creation. They swarm her, and with a collective, silent scream of stolen life force, they tear her apart. As Gladys' body disintegrates, her magic breaks. Alex's parents collapse in the living room. Archer groans and comes back to himself. The other 17 children, however, remain in their catatonic state, the link broken but the damage done. Epilogue: The Echoes of Maybrook. The child narrator's voice returns. We see Archer carrying his son Matthew home, a long and difficult road to recovery ahead of them. The narrator explains that Alex and his parents were separated, the parents were institutionalized, and Alex went to live with a different aunt far away from Maybrook. The other children were all returned to their families. It's been 2 years now, the narrator says over a montage of the children slowly, tentatively reconnecting with the world. Some of them have started talking again. They don't remember anything that happened in that house, but they all have the same nightmare, about a woman with a clown's face who whispers to them from the ceiling while they sleep. The final shot is of the narrator, revealed to be one of the children, looking up at their bedroom ceiling with a flicker of fear, a permanent scar from the horror that Maybrook tried to bury. In the end, it wasn't a police investigation or a desperate father that saved them. It was the witch's own dark magic turned against her by the one boy she thought she controlled. A horrifying cycle of stolen life broken by a stolen strand of hair. This movie gives us a monster that isn't just powerful but parasitic, feeding on the very essence of innocence to delay her own death. A truly terrifying concept that makes you wonder what other ancient evils might be hiding behind the doors of quiet, ordinary houses. But what do you think? Was it one of the best horror concepts of the year? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the movies that haunt your nightmares. Until next time, stay safe.